Welcome back to Mushoku Tensei Skipped Content Season 2, Part 1. I know I'm a little late on things. Season 2 just ended a bit ago. But here I am, after everybody's already uploaded their versions of this. Now, I recognize in Season 1, what I covered there was maybe a bit too much in detail. I think I went too far. Because I would talk about literal to the word dialogue changes, and that might have been a bit too much. So we're going to tone it down a bit. We're just going to go with the important stuff, or sometimes the semi-not important stuff, just because it might be interesting. And I wanted to just talk, and we'll cover it like that. We're not going to go too far like I did with Season 1. Because that was ridiculous. But anyway, without further ado, let's start off with Season 2, Episode 0. I don't know the title of the episode. But you know what's funny is this episode adapts things a little bit weird. So there's the Season 1 epilogue, which is from Volume 7. The minutes 1 to 4 of this episode are from Volume 3, and then minutes 5 to 20 are from Volume 4. We are jumping all over the place here. And yes, I am going back to the epilogue from Season 1 because that's basically a part of Season 2. And just because of how much it skips. And this epilogue really should have been saved for Season 2. And so let me tell you all about the ruler of the Renoa University of Magic. We're introduced to the three magic nations. The Duchy of Neris, which was famous for its magical implements workshop, the Duchy of Bashran, known for its magicians guild, and the Renoa Kingdom, which is home to its University of Magic. Many famous students have graduated from this academy, including Roxy Maguria, and there are currently over 10,000 students at the academy. Although this is a magic academy, it does have plenty of classes for non-magicians, so anyone is welcome, really. But now, throwing us into a scene, we're introduced to Ariel, Luke, and Fitz at the academy, but it's heavily emphasized that Ariel is loved by all, men and women alike. There's just something about Ariel that grabs their attention more than anyone else. She's basically a celebrity, and of course, so are Luke and Fitz, but not as much. We're given a brief recap of Ariel's journey here and how she lost a political battle and she had fled to Renoa where many thought that she had died on the way. The story, The Death of Ariel, can be found in my Season 1, Episode 18 skipped content video. Her plan of going to Renoa's Magic University was to recruit strong individuals to fight for her when she returned back to Asura. If she went back now, history would just repeat itself. And so now it's been 6 months since she's enrolled at the academy and was immediately accepted into the Students' Council despite just being a first year. Her plan is to wait a couple years for the vice president and president to graduate so that she can become the president herself. So far, despite being at the school for half a year now, she hasn't recruited anybody to her cause, unfortunately. The only things that she had with her were her exceptional talent, her unparalleled charisma, and 4 individuals: Luke, Noto's Grey Rat, Silent Fitz, Elamoy Blue Wolf, and Kellyanne Elrond. Ariel's overall goal after recruiting students and becoming school president is to have both Renoa's Kingdom's leaders and the Magicians Guild on her side. This is because both parties are heavily influential in the Asura Kingdom. Her first goal right now, however, is, as I said, is to become the school's council president. Most other members of the council are in their 6th and 7th years, and they are very talented themselves. Becoming president by Ariel's 3rd year wouldn't be exceptional unless she won by a large margin, and that would be a large feat to accomplish. But Fitz had other ideas. Instead of waiting until Ariel's 3rd year, why not aim for presidency after this year's president graduates? Now that would be an exceptional feat. Something like that has never been done before. To become school president after only being in their 2nd year, that should reach the ears of the leaders of the 3 magical nations. One might think that this is just a simple university, though, but many alumni had previously become leaders of the 3 nations and the Magicians Guild. This academy is very important to these leaders. But how would a simple first year become more popular than the vice president, so much so that the first year becomes president over them? Well, you take down the 2nd most prevalent force in the school, the Doldian princesses, Linnea and Persenna. These two had a lot of power and basically had the support of every beast folk in the academy and would also pull pranks on Ariel. Pranks like pouring water on her by accident, which, if you remember, having poured water on a beast folk is basically the worst kind of punishment. As well as that, they'd also steal her underwear and place it in the boys' dormitory with a sign saying, "This belongs to the Asuran princess." Ariel literally couldn't care less about any of this though, but Fitz couldn't stand it. And so that's why he made the declaration that they should crush the Doldian princesses. And yes, those are his words. Although the two beast folk have a lot of support, there's also many that fear them. Taking them down would gain the support of many, since the beast folk are technically a minority in the academy. This was certainly a risky play because the reason why the school doesn't put a stop to these bullies is because if they do, the school runs the risk of making an enemy of the Doldia tribe. And so Ariel has to somehow get these girls to attack first, so it's treated as self-defense. Thankfully, Fitz has a plan. Basically, wherever Linnea and Persenna go, there'll be a mob of like 20 other beast folk with them. And during a certain cafeteria time, Ariel's group of Fitz and Luke run into Linnea and Persenna's mob. Ariel and the two girls glare at each other for a moment before Ariel backs down. From there, the beast folk mock her and say that she's looking for men by leaving her underwear out places. Typical humans, right? Being a bit of a skank around here. And under Ariel's breath, too quiet for a human to hear, but not quite enough for beast folk ears, especially for Linnea and Persenna's exceptional hearing, she says, pandering around with 20 men in tow, like some kind of herd. It seems like the Doldia really are no better than animals. This obviously gets the crowd angry, and Linnea and Persenna question Ariel and egg her on, looking to start a fight with her. And so Ariel, without moving her lips, whispers once more, "Once this year's mating season is over, you'll be having the children of men whose names you don't even know, just like mutts on the street." And then Linnea and Persenna got understandably angry and the mob attacks. However, without Ariel so much as flinching, Fitz steps in and blasts everyone away. It is a 20v1 with Fitz easily beating all of the beast folk, all without saying a single word. However, Linnea and Persenna are actual skilled fighters, unlike the rest of the beast folk attacking, and so they're able to dodge Fitz's attacks. Persenna goes in to use voice magic to paralyze Fitz, and once she does, Fitz's nose bleeds and he slumps over, and he's kind of just unconscious. Linnea then goes in for the kill before Fitz moves again, but lifts his arms up and slaps his ear, presumably with some kind of magic involved, as they start to bleed. With Linnea in the air, Fitz basically gives a sonic punch to Linnea, who's sent flying, and then blitzes over to Persenna, who uses another sonic attack to slam her into the wall, instantly knocking her unconscious. He walks over to Linnea, who pleads for her life, saying that they'll never mess with Ariel again, and she gets into the beast folk submissive pose, exposing her stomach. Fitz then conjures 2 water balls and throws them kind of hard at both of the girls before speaking. "If you've truly learned your lesson, never raise your hand against Princess Ariel again." This is the first time that basically anyone other than Luke and Ariel had heard Fitz speak. It was oddly feminine. Luke, Ariel, and Fitz then left as rumors, partially thanks to Elamoy and Cleanne, spread among the school. And it's because of that event that when the election came around, she had secured the vote and become the school's council president. Since then, the vice president wasn't exactly happy with Ariel, and Linnea and Persenna would still make passing comments to Ariel, although they would have their tails tucked between their legs as they did. And aside from their kind of behavior with Ariel, the two girls did attend classes more and were technically better students now. They weren't as much of delinquents as they were before. And now, jumping to the present, Ariel is now in her 3rd year and made contact with both the Magician's Guild and the rulers of Renoa Kingdom. She had reformed the Students' Council to her liking with students that she trusted and was looking for new recruits to her cause. Some new students that stood out were both Zenobia Sharon and Cliff Grimoire. However, aside from them, there weren't too many other students that Ariel was interested in at the moment. And so she looked for individuals beyond the academy. Some candidates were some that lived in Renoa, some adventurers that resided across the 3 nations, and one candidate was even the sword god himself, Galfarion. She was looking for great things. However, one name caught Fitz's eye. Princess Ariel. I know this person. On the sheet of paper was a single name, Rudius Greyrat. And now on to the actual episode. Kind of. I actually go over the beginning few minutes of the episode over in my Season 1, Episode 11 skip content video. This was shown to us back in Volume 3 in a short story called The Princess of Asura and the Angel. I highly recommend going back and watching that part of the video because despite what it may seem, there was a bit of stuff skipped. It kind of introduces us to Ariel in a better way than how the anime does, and it's not just me going oh, the anime sucks, the books are better. It's just, we get to see what makes Ariel tick, and we get to know her in this introduction, the good and the bad. So again, I recommend watching that because Ariel does become important later on, and this scene is important to her character. But anyway, now we move on to the rest of the episode, which comes from a short story in Volume 4. It actually picks up right where the Volume 3 short story ended, but from Fitz's perspective. It's called Guardian Fitz. And so this starts with Fitz falling from the sky like to save Ariel from the Terminator boar. But as we described that, there's something that I haven't really mentioned yet, and that is the fact that Fitz wasn't supposed to be immediately known to be Sylphie. I'll eventually cover future scenes regarding that, but right off the bat, the narrator describes Sylphie as a he, right? The identity is kept a secret. In a way, it's like... It is kind of a secret for book readers, especially for web novel readers rather than light novel readers. It's a bit more obvious in the light novel, but it originally was supposed to be a secret. And I think that the anime could have pulled it off if they put in 110%, but oh well, I get. Oh well. So anyway, Fitz woke up after having a dream about that event, and we find out that Luke and Fitz sleep in bunk beds, with Luke being on top, of course, and Fitz being at the bottom, of course, which it makes a lot of sense given their personalities. But then again, I don't know, Fitz Sylphie, she's kind of kinky, she's into some weird stuff. I don't know. Is she a bottom or a top? Those are the real questions in Mushoku Tensei. But this dream actually scares Fitz so much that he even wets himself and Luke actually acts quite similar to Rudius when he had to deal with soiled panties before, and he is quite chill and respectful about it. Also, yes, although we're already halfway through, I am going to refer Fitz as a he. That's how the books are referring to him. That's how I'm going to refer to him until a certain event. I'm going to act as though they are two different people for the sake of presentation. But unfortunately for anyone who complains, I didn't ask. Didn't care. But anyway, we get a brief recap of Fitz saying that he's an intermediate in every form of magic and advanced in some. He was obviously a victim of the teleportation incident and actually had a pretty rough landing, breaking both of his legs when he crashed to the ground. It's not as elegant as it was shown in the anime. But continuing on, we see the rest of Fitz's usual morning routine, which involves waking Princess Ariel up. Supposedly, there's a punishment if Fitz were to wake up after Ariel, but he's received no such thing. But as Ariel wakes up, she asks Luke about what today will look like what the schedule is going to be. And he goes off to list a few things, meeting some lords, such as Lord Datian, Lord Klein, and a dinner will be with Lord Pylemon, who Ariel notes to be Luke's father. As this happens, Fitz is brushing Ariel's hair and then begins to undress her, fitting her into some kind of extremely fancy dress that even he can't comprehend what's going on with it. There's a lot of cute banter here between the three that I think is quite enjoyable, and it shows how close all of them are. Fitz misses a button somewhere on the dress and gets a bit flustered. Ariel makes a joke about wanting oh, you're looking at me, right? You want to see my body? When in reality, he's like, where the f*** does this button go? What's happening? And then Luke comes in, compliments Ariel, and points out the flaw in the dress so Fitz can fix it. Luke and Ariel then bounce off some witty jokes off of each other, and it's a really wholesome scene, and I like it. There's a lot of chemistry between the three characters that gets totally skipped in the anime. There's a lot of chemistry between every character that gets skipped in the anime. Skipping to one of Ariel's meetings, we find out that the nobles don't like Fitz at all because although they don't know his family and origins, it is clear by the way he speaks that he isn't a nobleman himself. It's actually quite impolite to wear anything on your face in the imperial court, but the king allows this since Fitz's glasses are actually a magical item. They allow the wearer, no matter where they are, to know when Ariel is in danger. It's a very convenient tool. I don't know how it works, but it somehow does. So some noblemen talk amongst themselves and say that it's odd that Luke is being so polite to another boy, Fitz, despite being such a womanizer. And some joke that perhaps it's because he finally sees the beauty in men now as well. Apparently among some nobles, because the majority of them are super kinky, homosexuality isn't really it doesn't faze them, which does imply that it isn't necessarily normal in the six-faced world, or at the very least in the Asura kingdom. It's more so it is a kinky kind of thing to be gay. I don't know. That's weird to say. But it seems like it's not necessarily a common thing in this world. I don't know, some people may find that fact to be interesting. Anyway, many nobles talk amongst themselves and they mock Fitz, and some even think because of the rumors of the Boreas's red-haired monkey princess being turned into a proper noblewoman, that Fitz is the boy that tamed her. But all this gossip is exactly what Ariel wants, because all the focus is shifted to Fitz, the country bumpkin guardian magician, so she can do what she wants in the background without much notice. Ariel right now is focused on how to gain followers. Yes, she's popular, but that isn't enough to beat her brothers when they hold true power. One of the main forces she's looking to acquire is the military, specifically the Knights Guild in the Imperial Guard support, because no other faction has fought for their power. This is because in recent years, all the military has done is eliminate monsters and thieves, really, so they haven't really done much. However, in times of need, that's when the military would be needed, and that's why Ariel wants them. And just because I want to drop every name that I can, there is a Lord Tink who has a son that seems to be associated with the military. I just wanted to mention that. I don't know, maybe the name will be important in the future sequel series. I don't know. I'm kind of just here to almost be like an encyclopedia for Mushoku Tensei. If you need any questions, just refer to one of these videos and I'm sure it'll be somewhere in there. Paimon also suggests capturing the undecided voters such as the countryside nobles or middle and lower ranking nobles, put them in low but important governmental positions, and wait about a decade for them to hold decent power. It may be a long road, but it is a steady one. Paimon and Ariel finish their conversation as we get a quick rundown of Fitz and Luke's gear. Both of them wear boots of swiftness that double their running speed, although sometimes it's mentioned that it's tripling the double speed. What did I just say? Tripling the running speed. So I don't know, it's sometimes said as double, sometimes it's triple. I'm not exactly too sure. It's 2 to 3 times as fast as the average person. They also wear a flame-trapping cloak. What am I saying? They wear a flame-trapping cloak that kept them at a constant body temperature without letting heat pass through it, and gloves of overpowering that reduced any impact to the palms of the wearer's hand by half. In addition, at Luke's waist was a steel cutting sword that could easily tear straight through a steel shield. Now, being lunchtime, Luke rang a bell 3 times to call a servant, and Fitz asked if there was any specific number of rings to order them like to call a servant. Questions like these came up quite often as Fitz tried to learn proper etiquette of an Asuran noble. The conversation then shifts to Fitz asking if Ariel has any updates on her family or his master's whereabouts, but unfortunately Ariel does not. Normally, because of the teleportation incident occurred in the Fidoa region, the liege lord of that region, the Boreas family, would deal with finding the survivors. However, many enemies of the Boreas had found this opportunity to strike them when they're down, so the majority of whatever they had left was used to defend what they had left. They were able to create a small search party, but it was mainly for show. Darius, who supported the first prince, would later end up taking the Boreas family under his protection and invest in a proper search party. That, I believe, ends up being Paul's squad, or his could be the first one, I'm not exactly too sure. But Ariel herself had created a small squad to search for Fitz's family, but we know that really doesn't go anywhere. And this is where Ariel invites Fitz to sleep with her. Meanwhile, all of this is happening, we get the scene between Darius and Lord Grable, where they describe how, although the majority of the Knights Guild and Imperial Guard were commoners, if any of the captains and commanding officers were to be replaced with Ariel's supporters, that basically gives her an army that fights for her. Nothing else is really to be noted in this scene other than the obvious plan to kill Ariel that the anime already went over. And then we get the scene between Ariel and Fitz in bed with each other in the assassination events. They were basically both adapted beat for beat. Although I'd like to note that it seems like that where Rudius' signature move is Stone Cannon, Fitz's is Sonic Boom, which I don't know, I just think is kind of neat. Has no real significance, but it's just a little thing that I want to point out. But it was this event that made the other nobles respect Fitz's strength, as it was proven to be genuine. And this is where he was dubbed Silent Fitz, for his quiet nature as well as his ability to perform silent spellcasting. And now the last couple minutes are still taken from Volume 4's story, but the last couple pages of it are a little bit more complicated. And this is because, unless I'm an idiot, every single version of the scene from all different sources is different. The anime, the manga, light novel, and web novel all share this scene, but it plays out completely differently. And I wanted to go through all 4 versions of it, because the web novel has a lot more than the light novel, let me tell you. I am going to have to one day do a skipped content of the light novel, I'm sure. It's ridiculous. There's so much. Anyway, in the anime, Ariel says that she wasn't able to help Sylphie find her family and is freeing her of her duty. However, Sylphie says that she'll continue to stay by Ariel's side no matter what. Ariel then vows to become the ruler of Asura. In the manga, Ariel decides to leave the kingdom to hide from assassins and then releases Sylphie from her duty. However, just like in the anime, Sylphie rejects that and stays with her. However, it does include the whole memory loss plot because that was a thing in the manga, and she says that it's because of Ariel that she remembers and that she makes an active choice to choose Ariel over Rudius. Then Ariel hugs Sylphie and they leave. That's it. There's no statements of wanting to be queen just yet. Then we have the light novel where it just doesn't do the scene at all, which I don't know if this is a first yet. It might be. The only one that lacks the content is the light novel, unless I'm wrong. I do remember reading this scene in some kind of book, but I can't find it. Maybe I read the web novel version, I'm not too sure. All what it does say is that Ariel had more assassination attempts on her, and so Paimon suggested for her to leave the country. We do actually kind of see their journey in Volume 5 in the short story, again, The Death of Ariel. Very big short story that is referenced time and time again, and it just, why did they skip it? We got a scene of them walking through snowy hills or a mountain, but that's it. That we should have seen the entire scene. And that's also how Fitz and Luke get their gear. It's from the assassins that tried to kill them. I think I'll mention that in a future episode, but I'm skipping ahead of myself here. That's how they get their cloak, their gloves, and the boots. That's all from the assassins that tried to kill Ariel. They just stole their getup. But now we have the web novel. Now, a lot of what we've already talked about did happen in the web novel too. However, the difference here is that Ariel actually asks Sylphie to stay. She doesn't want her to leave. Both Ariel and Luke beg Sylphie to stay with them, and she of course does. And the scene actually continues quite a bit further, which I will get into, but I do find it fascinating that all 4 versions are different. Anyway, the cut content from the light novel shows us an alternative version of The Death of Ariel, and a scene that is very similar but ultimately different to the other short story, The Ruler of the Renoa University of Magic. And it is actually referenced in the light novels. The events from the web novels are referenced in future events in the light novel. So I should cover it. Let me go over the web novel's version of The Ruler of Renoa University of Magic. The university promised to have Ariel, Fitz, Luke, Clean Elrond, and Elmore Bluewolf as special students, but Ariel refused. She wanted to be treated like a normal student. This isn't because she wanted to live with the commoners or anything. She does everything for a reason. It's to get to know the students, what they want and what they desire. Her only thought is, how will I gain power here? If she relied on nothing but her name, she wouldn't make it anywhere. Yes, Asura is a big name, but it's not a name that just gives anyone power. It's like a game of chess. She has to use her pieces effectively. Fitz would be shown off as a powerful and mysterious guard. However, the best way to show that would be to emphasize the mystery. An unseen face, an unspoken opinion. Was it a boy? Was it a girl? Who knows? Luke, on the other hand, would be shown off as the face for Ariel, to show generosity and kindness. Ariel herself would be the symbol of admiration, and Clean and Elmore would work behind the shadows. All Luke, Clean, and Elmore were all tasked to get information, while Ariel and Fitz showed power. Once the gang found out the updated death total of the Fidoa teleportation incident, their spirits fell. Especially Sylphie, of course, now learning that both of her parents are gone. Ariel, with all this, kind of wasted away. Sylphie was worn out. Clean and Elmore couldn't adapt to their new roles. However, Luke was fine. He was kind of chill about the whole situation. This is the characteristic amongst most Grey Rats. They're kind of able to hide their emotions and keep a stable mind. But I guess Paul and Rudy don't have that ability. They kind of lose their temper sometimes and they get anxious. But all Luke knows is how to deal with women, and he wanted to somehow help the situation in some way. According to his knowledge, if a woman was depressed, the only solution was to comfort her in his arms. Sure, he could comfort Clean and Elmore, but he wasn't doing that for Ariel or Sylphie. He kept thinking of what he should do, but then he remembered. There was this genius boy who gave lessons to the brutal monkey of the Boreas house. Every 7th or 10th day of the month, he created something called a holiday or a day off, and it calmed the anger of the monkey. Luke proposed a similar idea, stating that they should have a day off every 10 days. Ariel was reluctant but accepted. However, Ariel was supposed to be a symbol, and so it would diminish her image if she was caught as a drunken mess or something one night. And so the problem can be simply solved by a single magical tool. It's a ring that allows you to take the image of whoever you want. There's a green ring and a red ring. The person wearing the green ring would look identical from their face and hair to the person wearing the red ring. However, their height, build, voice, and eye color remained unchanged. This is a secret magical item that's passed down only in the Asura Kingdom's family from generation to generation. I believe they actually used the same tool to get to Asura. Again, the death of Ariel goes over that, and it explains the confusion that the people investigating the death of Ariel have about the situation. Anyway, for these days off, Ariel chose to become Fitz. They had a similar height, Fitz always covered his face and rarely talked. It was kind of the perfect disguise. And so when Ariel disguised herself as Fitz, Fitz would take to the library to research the teleportation incident. And so this is Season 2, Part 1, Episode 0, going all over about Ariel and Fitz and dealing with them. And there is a lot of skipped content here. There's a lot. I'll be honest and I'll admit, there's definitely going to be some episodes in the future that don't have a lot of skipped content just because, I don't know, sometimes the anime does a good job. Sometimes it can happen. Believe it or not. And so there will be some in the future that just won't have a lot of content overall. But it's definitely episodes like these. A lot of point of views that are skipped. There are just a lot of different character interactions that are skipped. And it's unfortunate because of this 12 episode format. I've already talked about that in a video. But it's just because of the format of the series. It's hard to go into all of this detail, fleshing out the characters. And it's a shame because it does damage the show a little bit. But what can you do? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Just subscribe, like the video. Did you like it? Like the video. Click the like button down below. And subscribe for more Mushoku Tensei content. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.